Governor Janet Mills today said she accepts the findings of the commission she appointed to look into October's Lewiston mass shooting. Good evening, everyone. I'm Amanda Hill.
And I'm Brian Yacono. And while she praised much of the police response on the night of the shooting and the manhunt that followed, it's what was not done before the shooting that is drawing the governor's ire.
Today, she spoke for the first time since the commission's report came out more than 2 weeks ago, and she agrees that more could have been done and should have been done to stop Robert Card before he attacked.
News Center Maine's Sam Olson was at the governor's news conference this afternoon, joining us live from the State House tonight. Sam.
Hi, Brian and Amanda. Governor Mills criticized the U.S. Army Reserves and the Saginaw County Sheriff's Office, specifically Sergeant Aaron Schofield. She says both agencies disregarded the facts and neglected the situation when they were well aware Robert Card's mental health was declining and he had access to firearms.
At its core, this tragedy was caused by a colossal failure of human judgment by several people on several occasions.
One of the few people Governor Janet Mills identified by name was Saginaw County Sheriff's Deputy Sergeant Aaron Schofield.
We have to acknowledge that the Saginaw County Sheriff's Office, Sergeant Schofield in particular, could have and should have done more.
The governor says Sergeant Schofield had probable cause to take Robert Card into protective custody last summer because he was mentally ill, posed serious harm to himself or others, and had access to firearms.
But I think that the facts contained in this report could lead to judgments about the actions or inactions of certain deputies, including Deputy Schofield, for instance.
When the report first came out, Sergeant Schofield defended his actions, saying he did what he could with the information he had at the time.
At multiple critical junctures, members of the U.S. Army Reserve ignored.
The governor went on to say that U.S. Army Reserves downplayed the severity of the situation and failed to share all of the information it had about Card's mental instability with the Saginaw County Sheriff's Office. She says had they relayed all of the relevant information, it could have changed the way the Saginaw County Sheriff's Office handled Card in the months leading up to the tragedy.
Captain Reamer, in particular, should have but did not follow through on a plan to talk to the perpetrator. The Army Reserve should have, but did not return multiple phone calls from the perpetrator's sister.
Governor Mills mentioned today Sergeant Schofield is running as a candidate for Saginaw County Sheriff in November's elections. She urged voters to do their due diligence and read the commission's report detailing the missteps taken by the Sheriff's Office and Sergeant Schofield before they cast their votes.
Look, the voters have the ultimate responsibility to act with integrity and to hold public officials accountable.
Governor Mills wants voters to read that report in which Sergeant Schofield is criticized, whereas the current county sheriff, Joel Mary, is not mentioned at all. Schofield is a Republican and is running against the current county sheriff, Joel Mary, which is a Democrat. The governor wouldn't give an opinion on who she thinks is the better candidate. She just says she wants voters in that county to read the findings and make a decision for themselves. Brian, Amanda.
Sam Olson live for us in Augusta with this important update. Thank you, Sam. A couple of hours before the governor took to the podium, Maine's Department of Public Safety released the state police's own internal review of how it handled the Lewiston shooting. It says that while law enforcement agencies did many things right on that night and the days after when no one knew where Robert Card was, there are things that do need to change. News Center Maine's Caroline LaCour joining us live in studio with that part of our team coverage tonight. Caroline.
Brian, Amanda, the after-action review, as it's called, concentrated on 8 aspects of how police responded the night of the shooting, their search for Robert Card, and how they dealt with the victims and their families. And while the review says they did a lot of things right, mistakes were still made, and Maine State Police have already instituted policies to make sure the response to such large-scale crimes will be better in the future.
Utter chaos were the words used by the Lewiston Commission to describe the police response on the night of October 25th. And while the state police after action review does admit there was a lot of confusion that night, it was mainly because local, county, state, and federal law enforcement officers were streaming into the area without being called in, so-called self-dispatching. And those who were sent in by higher-ups often didn't know the command structure being used at the command center set up by the state police tactical unit. The result, commanders didn't have a full picture of who was out there, where they were, and what they were doing. So there was a lot of overlap and duplication efforts. To help cut down on the confusion, the review recommends incorporating more active shooter training for all sworn state police personnel, develop and train investigative crime scene protocols, especially for mass casualty events, give advanced training to all sworn state police personnel on how to work under an incident command system like the one set up in Lewiston that night, and when the command system is established, make sure law enforcement from other agencies don't self-deploy to the area without going through the command center. One other area the review says needs improvement was how state police dealt with the victims and their families. State police had never dealt with a crime this big, and while the department says its collaboration with the FBI and the Red Cross in creating a family assistance center for those looking for information about loved ones, actually notifying those families that a loved one had died that night could have been handled better.
Now again, this is an internal review by the state police. In a statement released with the report, the agency says it is open to an independent review of its actions by the New England State Police Administrators Compact, which was first formed to combat organized crime. But it's now a way for state police to provide cross-border mutual aid during police emergencies like Lewiston. Colonel Matthew Birmingham, who heads Vermont State Police, will be the chair of that independent review. Amanda, Brian.
Caroline, thank you. If you would like to see the governor's news conference on the Lewiston shooting in full, as well as the after-action review by the state police, you will find it all on our website or News Center Maine app.